how are y'all doing? Today is Friday, May 26th, and I am back for my stitching update. It's been the usual 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you have all been well. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. My name is Olivia, and this is Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. This is a YouTube channel where I primarily talk about my cross stitching as well as my quilting. However, if quilting is not your cup of tea, have no worries. I show them a little bit later on in the video, and I'll let you know in plenty of time that they'll be making their appearance, so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. So today is the final Friday of May, and it is so hard to believe that the month of May is already over. For me, it was an incredibly busy month, especially the last 2 weeks. Spent a lot of time over the 2 weeks working out in my flower beds, in the yard, trucking loads of dirt and bark dust, but everything is done. We finished our last bed yesterday, and everything looks amazing. I love putting fresh bark in all the beds. I just think it makes everything look amazing. So everything's done, and now it's just the waiting and hoping that everything grows, and the maintenance and the watering and all the things. So hopefully I'm learning, so I'm just hoping everything grows. I did plant 6 new hydrangeas. I have a love of them. So we planted 3 in front of the house. We planted 3 Annabelle hydrangeas. There's a penny mac hydrangea, which is just as you go into the entryway of the house. And on the side of the house, we planted 2 blush incredibles. And I would like to get 1 more because there's another spot in the beds where I think it would look really good. So a lot of maintenance. I'm hoping that it won't start raining because typically June in Oregon can be wet, but I'm hoping the weather will continue to be really good and that the plants will continue to thrive. I definitely don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning as I go, watch a whole lot of YouTube videos on gardening, and so I'm just kind of trying to absorb all of that. But now that all of the maintenance outside is done, I can turn my attention back to my hobbies and my empire that I'm running and, give that some much needed attention because everything kind of fell by the wayside over the 2 weeks as I was working outside. So over the past 2 weeks, I did get a lot of new subscribers to the channel, and thank you so very much to all of you guys, and welcome. I really appreciate you all hitting the subscribe button. One of the questions that I got asked quite a bit was about the King Tut statue that is behind me. It definitely does not fit in with the more prim decor of my house, and I know I've talked about him quite a bit as the years have went on because he's probably the #1 most asked question that I get. So when my husband and I were first married, we decorated with Egyptian, and then as time went on, more and more of it went away, but he was the only thing that stayed, and he's just kind of accompanied us as we've moved from apartment to house. And I actually think that his days are very limited because I've been thinking about replacing this area with something else and either retiring him or moving him someplace else. But that's the story of him. And one more little bit of housekeeping before I move on to sharing what I've been working on over these past 2 weeks. I did get a lot of questions about the various things that I showed in each video, the quilt hanging up behind me, the quilts that I showed, wanting to know what their names were and where you could find them. So if you're ever curious about anything that I show in any of my videos, if you go to the description box, which is just down below, if you go there and look, everything that I show in that video will be listed down below. It'll have the name of the chart, the designer, and what I am stitching it on. Also the quilting, if there's ever a new quilt hanging up behind me at the, when a video comes out, if you just wait to the quilting segment, I will let you know what the name of it is. But as with the cross stitching, I do put all of that information down below. So the cross stitching will be first, and then the quilting will be listed after it. I kind of do it the way that I do it in my video. So if you ever have any questions about anything that I've shown in the video, definitely go check out that description box because it will have the information listed down below of everything that I've showed in that particular video. So I think today I'm going to go ahead and jump in, start talking about what I've been working on over the past 2 weeks. So after my last video, I got this wild hare to drop everything I was doing and immediately start Liberty House by With Thy Needle and Thread. It's the first time I have done that in a long time, but it was a lot of fun. And I ended up deciding to work on it until it was completely finished. So it took me about a week. But it was such a fun stitch to work on. And here it is. So I stitched this on a piece of 40 count Confederate Grey by Weeks Dye Works, and I stitched it with the called for threads, and I stitched it 1/2. So judging by what I can see on the camera, the alphabet is kind of fading into the background. In person, it stands out a little bit more so than it does on camera. And I'm hoping that once I get it framed, it'll help the alphabet pop up a little bit. But it definitely has a very faded, old-timey look, which I love. I did make the decision, there was a border on top and then one on the very bottom, and I made the decision to not stitch it. I felt like it would be a lot easier and less of a headache to frame than trying to get those two borders to line up perfectly. So I left it off. And I really like how it turned out, and I can't wait to get it framed. I thought I might be able to get it framed this week and have it, completed for today's video, but it just didn't end up working out, which is okay. But I really loved working on this one, and I'm so glad that I finally have it done. And I also, when I was doing the house, I sort of did the variegation that you see on the house on purpose. So when I was stitching, I would look, so when I put in the last stitch before I needed to change to a new piece of thread, I would look to see what the very end piece looked like. And then when I would go pull the thread, then I would start with the same color because it is a variegated floss. So as I was going, I was just making sure I was paying attention to what the color at the end of the thread looked like, and then that's what I would start with. So I kind of did it on purpose, just to see what it would look like, and I really like it. It definitely gives it that, old-timey look that I just love. So I'm hoping over these next 2 weeks to get it fully finished and into a frame. I am going to put it into a black frame, which I think will definitely help the alphabet, stand out a little bit more. I did have some questions because a couple of people noticed there was no J. So the chart is not charted with a J. So if that's something that bugs you, you would definitely just need to find a place on the sampler and stitch it. So over the past 2 weeks, I continued working on Spooky Countdown by the Primitive Hare. So I'm stitching this one with my friend Yvette, and it has been my morning stitch over the past 2 weeks. Progress on this has been a little slow, but progress is progress. So this is how far I got. And I am working on it's like a candy corn block. So it's just a lot of fill-in, but I love how this is coming along. I did work a little bit on the border of the block that is next to it. And I'm hoping by the end of next week, I will have my assignment on this done, and then I will go back and work on Mount Vernon. So really love how this one is coming along. I cannot wait to have it all done. I think we estimate we will be done by the end of summer. So it's going to look so good when it is done. I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count Jack-o'-lantern by XJUDesigns, and I am using the called for DMC threads, and I'm stitching it 1/2. I did use the back side of the Jack-o'-lantern because it's a little bit more faded, and we were worried if we used, and let me show you the back. We were worried if we used this side that all of our stitches would, we would be fighting with being able to see the different motifs and all of that. So yeah, I think it looks really good. I love it. Love it, love it. So I definitely need to start thinking about how I want to finish it. Originally, I was thinking maybe I could find like a a large piece of wood and mount it on it, but I'm not really sure. It might end up just going into a frame, which is fine too. It'll look amazing no matter what. Then the next project that I worked on, and the one that is currently in my rotation, is Summer Breeze by the Prairie Schooler. So I started this one last month because I had previously stitched, well, several years ago, I stitched winter and spring, and I refinished them. But then I made the decision that I wanted these to change out seasonally, so I put a hole in the wall to hang it. So now I need to finish summer and autumn. So it came around in the rotation, and here is my progress. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Vintage Country Mocha, and I am using the vast majority of called for DMC. The sort of golden yellow that you see here, I had to swap it out. The called for was DMC 422, which looks a lot like the linen. So I swapped it to DMC 680, which is a little bit darker, and I really, really like it. So I also made the decision to stitch this with one strand of thread versus two. So it gives it a very faded look. The other two are very vibrant because I stitched it with two threads, but I wanted to see what it would look like with just using one thread. And I do like it. I like that very soft, sort of subtle look that it has. So really enjoying working on this one. The plan is to keep it into the rotation, I think for 3 more nights, and then I'll rotate to something else. So I really, really love it. I also made the decision to swap out this block here. So the called for has a swan, but I decided since there was one down here that I would swap it with the bird who is holding a strawberry. And then my last little bit of progress was on Elizabeth Furniss 1836 by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. So I'm stitching this one with my friends Yvette, Becky Socks for Mom, and Christy Crosshatch Quilts. You might remember last month I had accidentally stitched May's assignment. So this month I did April's assignment, and I am officially all caught up. So I cannot believe how far we have come already. She's such a spectacular sampler, and I cannot wait to have her all done. It's going to be a little while, but I am really enjoying working on her. I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Bee's Knees by Seraphim Fabrics, and I am using the DMC conversion that is listed in the chart, and I'm stitching at 1/2. But I really, really love this sampler so very much. She's definitely a joy to stitch on, and I cannot wait to get to her in June and start working on her again. I think I might try to work on her a little bit earlier in the month. I was actually supposed to work on her when I was working on Liberty's house, so she got bumped for a few days. But love, love, love her. So I know I have mentioned this many times before, but I will be personalizing this sampler with my paternal great-grandparents' name. So I do need to chart that out, and I know I do. And I keep thinking about doing it, and then something comes up and distracts me. The plan for me will be to continue working on Summer Breeze, but at the beginning of June, I do plan on joining a stitch along that is being hosted by Kimberly of the Fat Quarter Shop. And I'm just going to read a little bit about, I feel like if I read it, it'll sound a little bit better than if I try to explain it, because I feel like if I try to explain anything, I just botch the whole thing and I end up having to do a lot of correction. So I'm just going to read the paragraph that was posted on the Fat Quarter Shop's blog, The Jolly Jabber. I think it was on the 23rd of May. So the red, white, and June stitch along, how it works. So if you want to join Kimberly of the Fat Quarter Shop for the red, white, and June stitch along, stitching patriotic patterns, any patriotic patterns, all of June, it's really simple. Just gather your supplies, start stitching, and share with the Fat Quarter Shop and everyone else on Facebook and Instagram using the hashtag red, white, and June, SAL, to participate. So I decided to participate. I thought it'd be really fun because I do enjoy stitching patriotic charts. So the one that I decided to stitch is called USA Forever Stamp. And I went with something that was a little smallish because I have so many huge projects going that I just wanted something small. So this is available as a PDF from the Fat Quarter Shop's website. So this is the one that I picked. And then they encouraged all of us to kind of pick our own colors with the charts that we pick out. And I decided to use a piece of 36 count hand-dyed fabric and an eggshell by Fiber on a Whim. And this is what it looks like. So I will be stitching it on this. And then the threads that I decided to pick were definitely more muted because the kitted up is definitely, or the called for is definitely very bright and festive. And I wanted mine to look a little bit more like my dark and dirty that I like. So I decided to pick some of my favorite over dyed threads. For the red, I will be using Country Redwood. For the white, I will be using Weeks Grits. For green, I picked Oscar. It's the best green color. And then for the flowers, I decided to use Weeks Peacoat and Americana. So I think all of those will really look wonderful together. I also have a backup color in case I don't like it, and that is Weeks Navy. So I plan on using those, or at least starting off using those, and I'm looking really forward to joining the stitch along. It goes all month long, so I do have a couple other patriotic pieces that I will be starting next month as well, and I'll talk about that next month. But if you're interested, you can read more about it on the Fat Quarter Shop's blog. It's called The Jolly Jabber. I will put a link to it down below. But the stitch along is called Red, White, and June SAL. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. So I did receive a little bit of happy mail over the past 2 weeks. The first little bit came from Cheryl, and she had won one of my previous giveaways, and so she sent me this beautiful thank you card. But inside, she also included this cute cross-stitched pumpkin that is put into a hoop, and I will be using it as I'll put it on the zipper of one of my fall project bags, and I just absolutely love it. I think it's so adorable, and I've had it kind of hanging out with me ever since it came. I think I had it attached to one of my scissors for a couple of days, but I love it. So thank you so very much, Cheryl, for making this for me. And then my friend Megan had went to a craft rummage sale, which I wish they would have craft rummage sales here, but I don't think there's as many crafters in my area as there are in other places, or at least if they are here, they're hiding. But she had went to a craft rummage sale near where she lives, and she picked up some items that she wanted to send to me to either keep or use as giveaways. So the first chart that she sent me is When Witches Go Riding by the Prairie Schooler. And this one is super cool because whoever had it before laminated it. But, and I don't think I'm going to be able to show this part. Let me see. But they also attached a little cut of thread to the numbers, which I thought was so cool. I've never seen that done before on a chart, but definitely really cool. I mean, it would keep your chart nice and safe. If you spilled anything on it, you wouldn't have to worry about it. But I thought that was so cool. And then she also sent some quilt patterns that she said, again, I could either keep or give away. The first one is called Capricious Hearts, and a quilt pattern called Twirl. Definitely like very modern. There were some charts from Purple Pineapple Studio, Lightning Strikes, Formation, Starry Night. I think I've seen this one in person somewhere. And then Boardwalk. And she sent the Easy Tumbler template, which I don't know that you'll be able to see it very good. The Twister Jack pattern by Needle Love. years ago, I made a couple of twister quilts, and you would be surprised how much fabric those twister quilts eat up, but they are beautiful when they're done. The next one is called Hearts and Stars, which this one would be awesome for Valentine's Day. A quilt pattern called Elevation. And Mini Kites by So Kind of Wonderful. Now, Megan also snuck in a little something very unexpected, and it just knocked my socks off. I could not believe it when I saw it in the box, and I recognized it without even, pulling it out. There's no writing on the side. I knew immediately what it was. And that is the quilt kit called Sense and Sensibility by Riley Blake Designs. It's part of the Jane Austen fabric line. So this is the Sense and Sensibility fabric line. It was released last fall, and it was kind of one of those ones where I originally was like, I was gonna get it, and then I talked myself out of it a couple of different times. But what you make is Barton Cottage. So the quilt kit, or the quilt is 64 by 64, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to start it because now my Jane Austen quilt will have a companion. She's just been hanging out with me out in the other room ever since I finished her. But the fabrics are scrumptious, and you can still get these because I've seen bolts of these at a couple of different quilt shops. So I know that you can still get the fabric line, but it is such a beautiful fabric line. I think I talked in my last video, they're releasing the Pride and Prejudice quilt, which is supposed to come out in September. And I'm hoping that they're going to do all of the books. I had somebody ask what I thought would be the one that they would do after Pride and Prejudice, and I think they'll do Emma because that one is super popular. But I was absolutely blown away by her generosity. I couldn't believe it because I saw this and I knew immediately what it was. But it was so very generous. I've already talked to her, but I am just overwhelmed by the generosity of this community. I mean, you guys are so thoughtful and kind, and I cherish everything that you guys make and send me, and it's just so very kind and wonderful of all of you guys, and definitely not necessary, but I'm so blown away and overwhelmed by the kindness of this community. Cannot wait to get to work on this. I got a couple other things I gotta finish first, but this one definitely high on the list of things that I need to start working on. In fact, the Barton Cottage, that is featured in the BBC version of Sense and Sensibility is like my favorite cottage ever. I could definitely live there and be very happy for the rest of my life. It's so gorgeous, and I'm really gonna enjoy putting this together. So thank you so very much, Megan. So in my last video, I did have a giveaway, and as always, thank you so very much to everyone that played along. The question that I had asked was, what is the best advice you could give a new cross-stitcher or quilter? And I loved reading through all of the questions. So if you are brand new to cross-stitching and you are at all curious, seeking advice, information, go back to my last video and read through all of the comments because all of the advice was wonderful. And thank you to all of you guys for playing along. So if I call your name, what you will need to do is contact me via email and send me your address, and I will get your prize out in the mail to you. The first one was for the Rivarius cross-stitch charts, kind of a summer theme, and the winner is Debbie Mason. Number 2 was for the Stitchy Stars by Lori Holt, and the winner is Autumn Jewel. Number 3 is for the America the Beautiful chart by Real Housewives of Cross Stitch, and the winner is Janelle Anderson. I'm sorry if I butchered your first name. It's Janel. I think it's Janelle Anderson. Number 4 is for the Bloom Chalkful by Hands On Design. It does come with the piece of chalkboard Ada, and the winner is Glee Hansen. And number 5 was for these two quilt charts, or quilt patterns, sorry. And the winner is Diane Stadola. So congratulations to all of the winners. If I butchered your names, I do apologize. I am wearing my contact lenses right now and I don't have my readers on, and I've noticed in the last couple of months that I actually have trouble reading the names. They're just a little blurry. So if I have mispronounced your name, I'm really sorry. I probably should start wearing my readers when I'm doing my videos. But anyway, congratulations to all the winners. If you could get in contact me again via email, send me your address. I will get your prizes out in the mail to you. So today's video also has a giveaway, and I decided to go with the theme today. A lot of people like to stitch Christmas in July, and with June being on the immediate horizon, I thought it would be kind of fun to do a Christmas themed giveaway. That way I can get the prizes to the winners before the beginning of July, just in case you want to stitch any of these for Christmas in July stitch-alongs or what have you. So what you will need to do to be eligible to win any of the prizes today is be a subscriber, like the video, and answer the question down below. There are 5 prizes up for grabs, so you will just need to indicate 1 through 5 which items you are interested in winning, and in my next video I will announce the winners. Number 1 is a quilt, or is a number 1 is a cross stitch kit. It was the Holly Jolly Stitch Quarterly kit from the Fat Quarter Shop, and it is called Lady Claus. So this is what the chart looks like. So if you're interested in number 1, you get the chart and you get the entire kit to stitch the chart. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 1. Number 2 is also a kit from Mill Hill called Holiday 2. So if you're interested in winning this one, it is number 2. And again, this is a kit. It comes with everything you need to stitch it. So this is number 2. Number 3 is a quilt from It's So Emma called Rockin' Around. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 3. Number 4 is a cross-stitch chart from Stitching with the Housewives called And to All a Good Night. So if you're interested in this, it is number 4. And number 5 is a Blackbird Designs chart called Merry Christmas. So if you are interested in this, it is number 5. And the question that you will need to answer down below is, how long do you cross stitch / quilt each day? And the question comes courtesy of Diane Knowles. So how long do I cross stitch each day? I typically will cross stitch about 2 hours. I do have a morning stitch, so I'll do that for about a half an hour. And then in the evening, I will start stitching about 9 o'clock. Sometimes, lately it's been about 9:30. But I will usually stitch from 9 to 11. So I get about 2.5 hours of stitching in a night. The evening stitch is a habit that I started back when my kids were little. I was doing hand embroidery. So after they would go to bed while watching evening TV, I would sit and do hand embroidery. And then when I started doing cross stitch again, it just kind of carried over into that. So each day I'm guaranteed about 2 hours of stitching each day. For quilting, it varies. There are days where I don't do any, and then it could be that I'll work on a quilt block for maybe an hour or hour or two, just kind of depending. So quilting definitely doesn't get as much dedicated time as cross stitch. But down below, share how long you cross stitch / quilt, indicate which items you're interested in winning, 1 through 5, and in my next video, I will announce the winners. And as always, thank you so very much for playing along. Well, my friends, as far as all the cross stitching goes, that is all I have to show and share in today's video. I am going to start talking about quilts next, so if that's not something you're interested in, this is a great stopping off point, and I will be back in 2 weeks. If you're curious as to what I get up to in between my two videos, even though the past 2 weeks I haven't been so good about posting, you can find me on Instagram. I am Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. I do have a Facebook page called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. And as always, you can find all of the information that I showed in today's video listed down below in the description box. So I hope you have a great 2 weeks. But now I'm going to start talking about quilts. All right, let's talk about quilts. So last time I showed Block Bonanza, and I was supposed to take the quilt outside and take a picture of it and insert it in the video. And I had even said something about it in the video. And when I was editing the video, I had every intention of going outside as soon as I was done and having a picture taken of Block Bonanza. Totally forgot. In like the span of 30 seconds, just it went out of the mind. I forget what it was. I remember I had finished editing the video, and then I think I had to leave and go somewhere like right away to go run an errand. And I thought, okay, when I get back, I will insert that picture. Totally forgot. I sent the video to YouTube, scheduled it to come out, and it went out of the mind until about a week later. So I am going to try really hard to remember to take Block Bonanza outside and take a picture of it. And I will insert a photo of it at the end of today's video. So I do apologize for the delay. I had even thought about taking a picture of it and putting it in the community tab that YouTube has. It's just kind of another like communication tool that I can use here on YouTube to communicate with all of you guys. And I thought, oh, that'd be perfect. I'm going to do it. Totally forgot. So I promise I will take it outside and take a quick picture of it. And I do apologize. But thank you for all of the wonderful comments that you guys made about Block Bonanza. I had a lot of people ask what the name of it was. It is called Block Bonanza. You can still get the pattern. It is still available. It's just the fabric line. You might have to do some internet sleuthing to find it because it did come out last year, at the beginning of last year. So it has been out for like a year and a half now. So you might just have to do some searching. But it was a fun quilt to put together. I'm so glad that I did it. I absolutely love it. It's such a gorgeous quilt. I'm so happy to have it done. Now, over the past 2 weeks, I did work on my Civil War tribute block of the month. I have been trying so hard to find time to work on this. And last weekend, after I had come in from working out in the garden, I cut all of the pieces needed to assemble block 8, which is the Gettysburg block. And here is what it looks like. So you had to make 4 12-inch blocks. So I cut out everything that I needed. And then over the past week, whenever I had a chance, I would assemble them. And here's the first one. So I love this one so much. It's gorgeous. I love how all the colors play together. So again, you had to make 4. So I have all 4 done, and I thought maybe I could cut out it would be block 9, which is the Chickamauga campaign, but I ran out of time and I opted to do cross stitching instead. So I got the 4 of these done. So I really would like to try to get this quilt done by the end of summer. So I looked at the next block, I read through the directions, checked to make sure if there was any correction. So I am hoping this weekend to spend some time cutting it out. I only have to make 2 blocks, one big, one small, so it shouldn't be too terrible. So last June, I think it was, I signed up for a block of the month through the Fat Quarter Shop. The reason why I signed up is because the fabric designer is Judy Rothermel. And when I saw that they were doing a block a month with her fabric line, I immediately signed up, and the first block finally arrived. So the quilt is called Vintage Sampler, and the fabric line is called Vintage Charm by Judy Rothermel. The quilt is designed by Nancy Rink, and I am so excited to start working on this one. So it is a 9-month block of the month, which is really good. So hopefully I will be able to keep on top of it. We'll see how well. The first block is actually this one that's on the back cover of the pattern. And every single month, I think you make 4 of whatever the block is. So this is the first one. And these are the fabrics for the first blocks. I love it. So scrumptious. Oh, I can't wait to start. But I made myself promise that I would go do block 9 of the Civil War Tribute quilt first before I start working on this one. So over the past 2 weeks, I did have a quilt top finish. Now, before I show the quilt, I can only take credit for putting 5% of it together. When it came to me from my friend, she had it a good way put together. There was only the little bottom section that needed to be completed, and she had part of it together, a couple of blocks, and then I needed to make a handful of blocks and then go put the whole thing together. So I can only take credit for a tiny little bit of this quilt's assembly. The quilt is called Carol's Churn Dash, and you can still get this pattern. It is by Quilt Expressions. And the quilt is all scrappy Civil War reproduction yumminess. And I love it. And if I would have had enough backing to make the back for this, I would have had it quilted by now. So I will do my best to show it here, and then I will also go and take a picture of it outside and insert a picture of it at the end. But it is gorgeous. And I love it. And like I said, if I would have had enough backing fabric, this would have been totally quilted. Love it, love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Oh, I love all the scrappiness of it. It's so gorgeous. Scrappy quilts are my favorite. So this area right in here is what I made, this corner. So it's kind of a mixture of my friend's blocks and then the ones that I made. So fun. So I love having it. She had said that she had made she didn't need another Churn Dash quilts. That's what she told me. So she sent it to me because she knew that I would finish it and I would love it forever. And I will love it forever. And I can't wait to get it quilted, but I gotta wait till next month to buy the backing fabric. And I can't wait. I love scrappy quilts, especially scrappy Civil War reproduction fabric quilts. I just love them. I just love them. So the quilt behind me, before I forget, is called Scrappy Stars. The block pattern came from a Facebook group called Kathleen Tracy Quilts, and I will put a link to the Facebook group down below. This is actually the last you will see of it, because the next time we meet, I will have everything decorated for the 4th of July / Americana. So the Temecula album quilt will be the one hanging up behind me, and I can't wait to get it back up because I love it. It's such a fun quilt, but I have enjoyed having this one up and looking at it and just having it done. I just love it. Well, my friends, as far as all the quilting goes, that is all I have to show and share in today's video. If you've stuck around for this length of time, thank you so very much. I do really appreciate it. If you're brand new to my channel and you liked what you saw, I hope you'll consider hitting the subscribe button. I do upload videos every 2 weeks, and if you hit the little bell icon, it will notify you when I have a new YouTube video up. The plan for me will be to continue working on everything I have shown today. And if you would like to see what I'm up to in between my videos, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or I do have a Facebook page called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. And I will put a link to both of those down below, as well as down in the description. I will put everything that I have shown and shared in today's video. Thank you so very much for stopping by today, and I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.